stop. I have a question that is of the utmost importance. Do you like dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Do you like swords?
Yeah.
Do you like dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad, because today I have Dinoblade, a game where you discover exactly how hard it is to be a Spinosaurus during the late Cretaceous period. But Dinoblade dares to ask the question, what if our scaly ancestors had tools to which they ripped and rend? Let's adventure on this quest to gain power and survive the wasteland full of unfossilized pre-mains of knife-wielding ankle biters. See how I fared in this prehistoric crucible where there can only ever be one. We begin naked and afraid, but not for too long because we find a great sword soon after hatching, presumably. Then, obviously, our instinct is to know what to do with this greatsword. We stroll over to our closest known relatives, and we eliminate them with extreme prejudice. Did they do anything wrong? No, of course not. But are they smaller than me? Yes, so I'm going to bully them without second thought. After taking the lives of bystanders, we move on to their friend who is standing in the background. This trident wielder seems to be tougher than the rest though, as he shoves it down my throat more than one time. Yes, I'm bad at Dark Souls games. Yes, I'm bad at this game. Let's move on. We stumble into our first enemy, which, after some research, I think is called a Utah raptor? Well, thanks, Utah. Anyways, this guy crumples beneath the weight of his decisions. We manage our way past him with a meteoric strike.
Oh, actually, okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Or meteor slice. And we find the giant obsidian monoliths that save our game. Personally, I choose to believe that these obsidian monoliths are choosing this one Spinosaurus as the god ascendant and giving him plot armor. Then we find the souls of the fallen, which for us translates into experience points. But then shortly after, we find the raptor with a katana and his little brother with a fucking knife. I don't know where I landed, but these slums are not it. And I wish to come to a resolution before little nephew Deshaun can pull his 9. We figure out how to use our experience, finally, and we level up. But unfortunately, the alluring sight of this much cake forces these starving peasants to ram their forks in my ass. And thus, I die again. Let them eat cake, oh, Clisson. And after losing my dignity yet again to a shotty with a fork, I go through the settings as a form of coping. But, this time it actually paid off, surprisingly. Yeah, no, there's a charge attack that is not your heavy attack, I guess. Anyways, I tried it out and it absolutely fucks. Tiny raptor, deleted. Small biped, evaporated. Then the game moves on to tell me that there's a charged attack and use the button I've been using to use it. Now, this is when I came to a realization. Either I'm a genius and I thought of the game so far in advance that I figured it out for what it was, or I'm kind of far behind because of how many times I've died, and I'm supposed to be further than I am. But while pondering my failures and mistakes, we get jumped by another raptor with a knife. This time it seems to be a baby. I don't know where in Chicago we landed, but get me the hell out. Thankfully, we've managed to parry it, and boy howdy, do we learn how to juggle babies. After some good old backwater fun, we meet the first boss, Kira. And let me tell you, Kira the Exile is not a good mix with someone who's not good at Souls games. And we die the first fight, pretty handily. But the second fight we come back, stronger, more determined. But then again, so does he. And Kira, my boy, decides to turn into a damned tornado. I don't know what brand of jujitsu this T-Rex has, but I'm starting to think it wasn't a meteor that killed all of the dinosaurs. We go back for a third time. This time, he comes back with another move, an insane lunge. This time, something had to change. Something had to give. So I reached deep deep within my core, and I taught myself how not to be absolutely dog shit at the parry. And thus, I learned it. And I shattered his skull as a sort of ancient tuition fee.
What the fuck was that? Hello? Huh? Bro, that was awesome.
We collect the remains of his soul and we invest it into our very own. And we buy Meteor Slice, an overhand move that is sure to slice our enemies top to bottom. But next up to purchase are Meteor Dash, an instant dash that ends in a swift strike, Alpha Roar, a radial fear effect that puts all of the betas into their place, and Meteor Zone, an ability for crowd control and devastation. All of these abilities cost resonance, which is this game's form of mana. But after we feast on his metaphorical flesh, we move on to find some more boss SP behind a waterfall, which is probably just for this demo, I would imagine, but it's a fun find anyways. And with this, we can purchase our next ability, Meteor Dash. And after finishing our metaphorical meal, we move on to slay some innocents who were enjoying theirs. Then to assert our male dominance over the prehistoric era, we parkour over these cool-looking rocks. The male brain is of the most complex of systems, and at the bottom of these cool-looking rocks, we find this tall white man with a large hammer, and I dispatched him so well that I Thanos snapped him and my CPU out of existence. We save again and move on to find the real boss of the area, but reconsidering my chances, I decide to look around and search for some hopeful loot. I look out, and in a crevice in the side of this canyon wall, I find loot surrounded by shoddies. But after collecting it, we find the ability to summon. This means that in battle, we can summon a small raptor ghost to charge our enemy. For more preparation, we all in on damage, and we accidentally discover the jump attack. I say discover like jump attack isn't an obvious move, but you know, here we are. And we come to the next boss, Axe, a massive T-Rex with an axe. Well, nobody said the dinosaur naming game was gonna be any good, but what he lacks for in creativity, he more than makes up for in physicality, and he wrecks me with a spin move, my weakness. We go at him for a second time, and this time I die in record speed. In the third fight, I do good enough to break his posture, but we still lose. And coming back for a fourth and final time, I managed the execution, even if it does look a little strange. On our way out of the boss room, without even getting a break, we take on a raptor, another hammer T-Rex, and more knife babies. But by this point, we easily get rid of them. But then we come to the third boss, Casey the Tyrant. Casey, I don't know. A massive T-Rex in the middle of eating their lunch. But instead of choosing to fully digest what they had in their mouth, they instead use it as a weapon.
Tell me he's gonna use that as a fucking weapon. That's awesome, dude.
After some love taps to his ankles, we get him to his second phase, with which I realize that I have so much plot armor I can hit negative health and still be alive. Never mind. But then we come back again with a vengeance, and this time we hit the second phase, and we launch his giant-ass sign through his giant-ass skull. And for that massive takedown, we got 3 boss SP. But that's it. That's the end of the demo. If you'd like to pick it up, the demo is on Steam, and you can wishlist it for when it does come out. But anyways, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and like always, I'll see you next time.